Hello, this is Sandy Gallagher. Welcome back to Lesson 12 of Thinking into Results. Here we are on our last and final lesson in this amazing process of thinking into results. But you know, it's really just the beginning. You heard Bob talk about Napoleon Hill, the master teacher of human potential and the author of Think and Grow Rich, which is one of the best-selling business books ever. He possibly influenced more people into success than any other person in history. His 24 years of researching the most successful business leaders led him to the belief that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others succeed. That's what we'll discover today, how to take what you've learned and magnify it dramatically by creating a mastermind group, which is a group of like-minded people whose purpose is to achieve successful results. This lesson has had a huge impact on my life. Masterminding, you know, it's hard for some, easy for others. But for me, it was kind of hard because I had to let go of some ideas, like I have to have all the answers, or I can't be wrong, or they'll think I don't know enough, or even that they'll compete with me. You know those thoughts. But in a mastermind group, each participant thinks about giving, not getting. I now mastermind on virtually everything, and it's made a quantum leap in the results that I get. Great success is achieved as a result of great teamwork. Here's Bob to explain more.
Hello again. You know, in my business, I'm frequently called upon to speak at a convention. And there could be anywhere from a few hundred to a few thousand people, and I speak all over the world. It could be in Asia, or it might be in America, or Europe, or Australia. And frequently, when I get onto the dais in front of this audience, I stand there and say nothing. And I just look around at the audience. Now, of course, they're sitting there, and they're waiting and probably wondering, is this guy ever going to speak? And then I asked them a question. I said, how many of you believe that if you just tried a little bit harder, you could do a whole lot better? And I raised my hand. And of course, hands are going up all over the audience. Then I say, isn't that interesting? I used to think that. Let me share something with you. This comes from a marvelous little book that was written by a man named Price Pritchett out of Dallas, Texas. And I've come to love this little book. He begins the book by saying, I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about 1 hour out of Toronto. He said, it's just past noon in late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds of a life or death struggle going on just a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder, but it is not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die there on the windowsill. Now, across the room, just 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it would be free of its self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibility is there, and it would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. How did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determination and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder is not necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any real promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. Isn't that good? Do you know, every now and then when I'm putting everything I've got into a project and I seem to be having difficulty, something kicks in up here and said, maybe you should try another approach. Maybe you're acting like that fly. Now, I've read this story many, many times, so I'm very familiar with it. And you know, if you listen to it a few times, you're going to embed it in your mind. I love it. And you know, it opened up a world for me. Now, since that was on the first page of the book, I started to pay attention to what I read. And he's talking about U square. U square. Now think about that. U square. It's U with a little 2. How do you square a number? You multiply it by the number, don't you? If you're squaring 4, you'd multiply 4 by 4. 4 squared is 16. 10 squared is 100. What are U squared? What would you be like? Do you know that there's no one alive that can even guess at what you and I are capable of doing? No one. We're talking about infinite potential. All science and all theology indicate that we have infinite. I don't even know what infinite is. It's no beginning, no end. No end. How would you square that? You know what the idea is? That you've got deep reservoirs of talent and ability within you, and you can bring them to the surface. That's what thinking into results is all about. You want to value this. I mean, really dig into it, because it's all about you. Now, let me share what this author says about U square. And then I'm going to give you a strategy that's going to be phenomenal, that you can use not just in your business, but in your personal life. I've been using it myself for many, many years. The author points out U square implies an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. We're programmed to take logical steps. We really are. Expect maybe 5 or 10% increase. How about 500%? Now let me repeat that. U square implies an explosive jump in your personal performance that puts you far beyond the next logical step. Do you realize that you and I have been programmed as part of our paradigm, part of our habitual behavior, to take logical, progressive steps? This author is suggesting we do something dramatically different. He says it's a formula for stunning advances in achievement and the realization of your dreams. The concept is one of exponential gains rather than incremental progress. You might compare it to multiplying instead of adding. It means a geometric progression in your effectiveness. Doesn't that appeal to you? It really appeals to me. Become that much more effective. Now he said that's exciting as well as provocative. But it gets even better. Remember, quantum leaps come without apparent effort. These are high velocity moves that carry you to dramatically higher performance levels without a time-consuming struggle. Quantum leaps seem to violate common sense utterly. The idea of moving to a higher orbit and skipping several rungs on the achievement ladder in the process strikes people as far-fetched, maybe even outrageous. Well, I have seen things like that happen by changing some of the very simplest steps that we've been taking. I remember many years ago working with the largest insurance company in the world. And I watched their sales go up by hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm not exaggerating. Yet it was so dramatic that I could write my own ticket around the insurance industry, and I had never sold insurance. I remember talking to a large audience and saying to them, any of you could go out and write $5 million in business this year. Now this is 35 years ago. A man came up to me at the break and he says, Proctor, have you ever sold insurance? And I said, no, I never have. He said, I didn't think so. I said, why are you saying that? He said, you don't know what you're talking about. I said, is that right? I said, the truth is I really do know what I'm talking about. I've just never sold insurance. He said, you said that anyone in that room could go out this year and sell $5 million worth of insurance. He said, you know, no one has ever done that in our company. And the year's over half gone. I said, then you could be the first. But he said, this is August. You said we could do it this year. Well, then I said, it isn't going to take you as long, is it? He looked at me with sort of a stupid look on his face. I said, listen, I'm operating on the premise you already know how to do many times better than you're doing. You just haven't learned how to close that knowing-doing gap. I'm going to show you how to do what you're telling me you can't do, and you're not even going to learn anything new. I'm going to show you how to start to do something you already know how to do, how to really bring the power you've got to the surface. Now, do you know the second week in December, that man's name was Don Slovan in Chicago. The second week in December, he had $5,200,000 worth of business on the books, and he closed the year with a little better than $6 million. And there was a whole string of people following him. He learned how to marshal his faculties. He learned how to take what he already knew and focus it. Now, I want you to imagine that you take the department that you're working in. I don't care if it's the sales department or the accounting department. It really doesn't make any difference. I always see a company as having just two departments. One sales and one sales support. One doesn't function without the other. You could take every position in every company and that's where it falls, into sales or sales support. Elmer Willer one time said, nothing happens till somebody sells something. We could have also said, nothing happens until they support the people that sell it. Two departments. Well, let's take any department and bring a group of people together and they operate as a unit. Now think about what I'm saying. We're going to bring a group of people together and they operate as one unit. It's like hooking up a group of batteries. Now we call this masterminding to compound our effectiveness, to solve challenges that we face. See every challenge as a learning opportunity. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what goes wrong. This is a learning opportunity. And if it's a big problem, big challenge, there's a lot to learn. We want to get excited about it. Little problems are not going to excite anybody. It's the big ones that you want to look for. You see? Now, in your Thinking into Results action planner, and it is a plan for action. We want to move into action. And in the action, there's guidelines for setting up a mastermind group. But I want you to imagine that you've already learned the guidelines and you've brought a group of people together. There should be no more than 8. Now, that's just to save time. And if you've got more than 8, break it into 2 groups. And when they get together, they read these mastermind principles. Everyone reads them aloud together. I'm going to read them to you and then I'm going to comment on them. I want you to imagine a group of people coming together. There is a common situation that they want to accomplish, a goal, a challenge that they want to overcome. They begin by reading, I begin every mastermind meeting by reading these 7 mastermind principles. I release myself to the mastermind because I am strong when I have others to help me. I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I am open to looking at myself and my problems and opportunities from another's point of view. I decide to release my desire totally in trust to the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. I forgive. This is good. I forgive myself for mistakes I have made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past so I can move into the future with a clean slate. Nice idea. I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires. And I hear my mastermind partner supporting me in my fulfillment. I accept. I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need, and I am grateful knowing that is so. Dedication and covenant. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to God and my fellow human beings, to live in a manner that will accept the highest example for others to follow, and to remain an open channel of God's will. I go forth in a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. Now, I want you to imagine that there's 5, 6, maybe 8 of you sitting around in a group. You might be standing around in a factory, or you could be sitting around the board table. This is just as effective for the executive as it is for the janitor in the company. But you're all sitting around, and you've come together because maybe one member of the mastermind has called you together. Now, this mastermind is a group of people that all belong to the mastermind. Maybe one person's away and they can't come. That's fine. But let's suppose I've got a particular challenge. I have a challenge in my particular position, and I just don't know how to solve it. And I might go and say to each one of you, at lunch hour, would you mind if we have an emergency 15-minute mastermind meeting? And even if it's only a 15-minute meeting, you start off by reading these. So you to have them available at all times. And you state your situation. This is a problem that I have. I would like the mastermind to help me solve it. Now imagine a group of people all getting together, dedicated to helping you solve your problem. It's a marvelous thing. Sometimes it may just be, if it's outside of your business, it may be a mastermind group where each one states what they want. The mastermind helps. See? There's a group of people all come together. You release yourself to the mastermind. In other words, become open. See, a closed mind is not going to accept help. It takes an open mind. You believe that this group of people, and the longer you're together and the more you work together, the more powerful it becomes. You believe that your answer is lying there in that group. And you understand that you're going to much easier create the results you want when you have a whole group of people working at helping you. You dedicate yourself to the mastermind. When somebody asks, you go. You set aside your own situation and you go to the mastermind. You are coming into this for what you can give, not what you can get. That's another part of it. It's what can you contribute to the mastermind. I have a number of mastermind partners that some of you recognize. John Asraf from The Secret. He's been a mastermind partner of mine for many years. He's the man with the vision board. Mark Victor Hansen, co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul group. Mark and I have been mastermind partners for 30 years. And I can phone these people at any time and we'll come in a mastermind group. I have a number of mastermind groups that I belong to, and they of course can do the same for me. Cynthia Kersey, the author of the book Unstoppable. And I've got a new person now that's working with is Debbie Ford. Why Good People Do Bad Things, new book out. Debbie Ford's a genius at what she does. I forgive. You see, I may have done something wrong. I may have hurt one of the members of my mastermind. It might have been deliberate, it might have been unconscious. But if I've done it, I've got to forgive myself for it. I can't go around feeling bad and feeling guilty. Forgive means to let go of, completely abandon. Now, one of my mastermind partners may have done something to me. I've got to forgive them. We cannot come into a mastermind group with any feelings of guilt or resentment or animosity. It's got to be free-flowing. Forgiveness is good for the soul anyway. Yours and mine. It always has been. Well, let's learn how to do it. Just let it go. Let it go. And then we ask. We ask for help, believing that we're going to receive it. And then we've got to accept. See, some people haven't learned to accept. Do you know what I learned? I learned that giving and receiving are the same thing. We want to willingly give and graciously receive. Now, I learned that from one of my mentors. It was a wonderful lesson Del Vanderwall taught me. He said, Bob, you have to learn to willingly give and graciously receive. Good rules. Well, we want to do that. And then we get into the dedication and covenant. And this means something. You see, when we read these in every meeting, they take on more meaning every time we read them. It's the repetition of these principles that really burn them into our mind. Now think for a moment. If every department in your company came together, you may even get somebody from another department to join. You're looking with people bringing different skills and experiences and knowledge to the party. And you've got groups of people figuring, how can we take and compound, square the productivity in here? Well, we don't have any idea what we're capable of doing as a group. Now, I've mentioned it before, I want to mention again. Your company is not the building you go to. I'm going down to the company. No. The company is the people in the building. A company is people. And remember, the purpose is not the first order of business. The first order of business is profit. Because if you're not earning a profit in your company, you're going out of business. But that's not the purpose of your company. It's not the purpose of any human organization. The purpose of every human organization is to make life more meaningful. That's what thinking into results is all about. It's about helping every individual in the organization to grow as a person, to bring more of themselves to the surface, to improve the results in our life. Think about the fly. Trying harder isn't necessarily the answer. Think about squaring your results. I've squared my results a few times. And you know what it's done? It's made my life much more exciting. You see? And then think of the mastermind. Get mastermind groups going all through your company. And have one going in your personal life. You'll find it's the best move you can make. That's how to really square your productivity. This is Bob Proctor. Thank you.
Are you ready for your quantum leap? Quantum leaps come without apparent effort. These are high-velocity moves that carry you to higher performance levels without struggle. Quantum leaps can happen by applying the concepts of thinking into results. Remember, real learning begins with action. You learned a lot about the power of your mind, and you've just learned more about the power of a group. A mastermind group is really the key to magnifying your mind. All great leaders and business persons follow this principle. When a group of individual brains are coordinated and they function in harmony, energy increases, and that energy becomes available to every individual brain in the group. That's a mastermind, and that's where you achieve real power. Keep creating new goals, bigger and better ones. Go through the program again, because repetition is the key to learning. And as you go through the program again, you will learn more than you did the first time. The program is the same, but you are different, and you will see things you didn't see or understand the first time. The key to lasting results is always strive for more. Are you open to the endless possibilities that are awaiting you?